Today is another collaboration between us and Lee from Six Kids Productions. Remember her from our pub style sliders video? Well, this time she wanted to learn how to make a pizza. So because the weather's warming up a little bit around here, I decided it's a perfect time to work with dough. That's why I wanted to make my homemade skillet pizza. It's much easier to make than you think, even though it's made from scratch. And it's the perfect little pizza for two. So come on, grab your food processor, let's head into the kitchen and I'll show you how to make this. I know that you guys are probably not used to seeing me wear glasses unless you follow us on our vlog channel, but I'm having a little bit of eye issues today. And speaking about our vlog channel, make sure that you subscribe. We'll leave a link for you. It's called Our Universe because we're going to have a lot more updates coming up, which is important to know because this is our last episode of season 2. Woo! So we're going to start with an easy food processor dough, and all you're going to need for this pizza dough is bread flour, instant or rapid rise yeast, salt, warm water, and olive oil. Add 1 cup of bread flour. Bread flour gives you a chewier, more crispy texture. You can use this recipe with regular all-purpose, it just won't be as chewy. To that, you're going to add 3/4 teaspoon of instant or rapid rise yeast. Now this is different from regular active dry yeast because this actually went through a gentler drying process, so it doesn't require proofing, like where you have to bloom it in water with a little bit of sugar. With instant or rapid rise, you can actually add it to your dry ingredients directly. Now if you only have active dry, then we'll leave a link for our blog post so you can read the directions on how to use that as a substitution. I'll leave some instructions for you. Next, 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1.5 teaspoons of olive oil. Oops, I was supposed to pulse the dry ingredients a little bit together first, but I'm just going to do it now. That's just to mix it. And then I have 7 tablespoons of warm water. And I'm just going to have the food processor run while I feed it through the tube. Do you see how my dough is actually not coming together into a full ball yet? That's because there's not enough water. So I'm going to add just a tiny bit more water. So add like a tablespoon at a time as you need it. So doesn't come off the sides, needs more water. Doesn't come off the blades, needs more flour. I have a little bit of bench flour, again bread flour, and we're just going to put it on a board, light sprinkle. Plop it on, and you don't really need to knead it because the kneading was done in the food processor, but I'm just going to do that a little bit, and then I'm just going to form it into a tight ball. Now I have an oiled bowl, so all I do is drizzle a little oil and get a paper towel and rub it around. Plop this baby into here, and then cover it with some wrap. So what you're going to do is just leave it in a semi-warm place for an hour to an hour and a half until it doubles in size. The dough is resting nicely, and while it rests, it makes sense to work on your sauce and toppings. And all you're going to need for everything is canned diced tomatoes, salt, olive oil, crushed red pepper flakes, garlic, mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, mushrooms, shallot, and hot Italian sausage. This sauce is just a very easy marinara sauce, I guess. This is 1 can of diced tomatoes, and I'm just going to strain it out to drain the juice out because it'll be too liquidy otherwise. Move over here. You can use a blender for this too if you want. And then I have 1 clove of minced garlic, so I just pre-mince it so it doesn't get all like stuck up in clumps. A 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt, it comes next. And a 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes because it wouldn't be my recipe without crushed red pepper flakes, you know what I mean? And then lastly, a tablespoon of olive oil. Zhuzh it up. Now I like my sauce somewhere in between smooth and coarse because I like the little funky textures of tomatoes. You can actually cater it to how you want, and you can add all different add-ins too. Like if you want to add fresh basil, go ahead. I have mozzarella cheese, and this is the biggest point I need to emphasize. I would highly, highly recommend shredding your own. But the thing about pre-shredded cheese in the package, even though it's convenient, it's covered in kind of like a cornstarch mixture. So therefore, when it melts, it doesn't necessarily string and melt into this like gooey, messy deliciousness that you want from a pizza. So I noticed that when I shred my own from a block, it just melts and strings and creams much better. So you have 1 cup, and then you have 1 link of hot Italian sausage, because I just love this flavor. Then I have 3 baby portobello mushrooms that I just sliced thinly, and then lastly, I have 1 shallot that I sliced thinly. Sausage, mushroom, and onion pizza. That combination is unbelievable. And then I have 1 tablespoon of finely grated Parmesan cheese. That kind of adds that salty, bubbly brown layer. And lastly, this is not even in my ingredients board, but this is optional. I like adding a little extra onion on top of this pizza with scallions because it adds a pop of fresh color and a nice fresh bite, and we're gonna throw this on at the very end. You can get your skillet ready. So this is a 12-inch cast iron skillet. You can use any oven-safe skillet. To prep my pan, I'm just gonna add a tablespoon of olive oil. And just kind of drizzle, and then use a little piece of paper towel and just kind of rub, just so it's nicely evenly coated. It's been an hour and a half, and I think that it puffed it nicely. I wouldn't say that it quite doubled in size. Maybe it did, I don't know, can't tell. But it's alright, as long as it poofed up a little bit, which it did. So, I'm just gonna put this out on a lightly floured board. Ooh, it's so soft. Boink, boink. Okay, I'm not gonna be fancy here and do all the tricks and flip it in the air. Just gonna drive a car, alright? Just gonna move the steering wheel a little bit. And then just gonna press it down. The key is to make sure that it spreads out nice and evenly and that the dough doesn't rip. Do this until you have about an 11-inch round so that it fits nicely into your 12-inch skillet. And it looks like it's staying in its shape. So this is about 11 inches. And now we're gonna transfer it into the pan quickly. The greased pan, remember there's oil in there? Okay. And then you can reshape it. Now, it depends on my mood. Sometimes I use all of this sauce, sometimes I don't. I know like professional pizzerias, they only use like a scant amount to go like this, but I realize it just tastes better with more sauce. So it's up to you. I think today I'm actually gonna just hold a little back. Next you wanna add the cheese that you shredded yourself. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna evenly put a layer down first, and then I'm gonna hold some back just for little gloppy parts on the top. Now I'm gonna put in my shallot. If you have a huge shallot, you might not need all of it. Onion layer is done, so we're gonna add the mushroom layer. And again, I'm using 3 sliced mushrooms, but this might be too many, so it depends on the size of your mushrooms and how thick you slice them. Now I'm gonna start out with just half a link of the hot Italian sausage and remove it from its casing. So I'm just gonna give it a twist in the middle, pull it out, and then use your fingers to crumble it on top. And trust me, because the oven is so hot, the sausage will cook up no problem. I'm just gonna give my hands a quick wash. Now with the remaining shredded mozzarella cheese, I'm gonna just add little globs here and there, just so that there's like little pockets of cheesy goodness everywhere peeking through. But you wanna make sure that the sausage is kind of exposed to the heat so it will cook up nicely. And then I have a tablespoon of grated Parmesan cheese, so I'm just gonna sprinkle on top. And for the scallions, I prefer to just put them on the end. Again, this is not in my recipe, so you can totally leave it out, or you could even top it with fresh basil at the end. So I'm gonna put this on when it comes out of the oven. Now I have a cool trick for you. I'm starting the pizza out on the stove first. So it's been going for about 3 minutes. Now you want to go for about 3 to 4 minutes depending, and make sure you check underneath to see that the bottom is starting to cook. The sides are starting to get a little bit puffy. And the reason I do this is because I want the bottom of the pizza to be nice and crispy before everything else starts getting cooked and melted. And that doesn't usually happen unless you have a pizza stove, which I don't. So that's why I'm using this cast iron or oven-proof skillet. Start it off on the stove for 3 to 4 minutes and then pop it into a 500-degree oven for about 7 to 10 minutes until everything's cooked and the cheese is melted, and that's it. Cheers to season 2!
Cheers!
Diet Coke cheers! You like that Diet Coke I made? Ooh, look at that.
Oh, that cheesy goodness.
That is cheesy, saucy, sausagey, mushroomy deliciousness.
I think it's a pretty perfect homemade pizza.
I think so too. My only regret is that it's so small. It's perfect for 2 if you have a salad. Well, for substitutions, obviously use any toppings you want, from Brussels sprouts with bacon to prosciutto and arugula. I mean, it's limitless. You can also have fun with the sauces. You can try using barbecue sauce or even pesto. Remember to watch our behind the scenes, and our bloopers will leave a link for you. So I hope you enjoyed season 2. It was a lot of fun cooking for 2. I'm not really sure what's going to happen for season 3, but be sure you subscribe to both of our channels because we'll be updating that and we'll keep you posted with what's happening. So anyways, thanks for spending time with me today, and if you enjoyed this recipe, which I know you will if you give it a try, then remember to push like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in season 3. Bye!
Bye! Second piece. The crust is nice and crunchy. Oh, so good.
To save the best for last.